Welcome back to Leading Edge. I'm Jerry Anderson. He is Rob McColley, State Senator, District 1 Republican over Henry County way. Um, Clearly, Rob, more testing will turn up more cases. Just a matter if you go looking for something, you're going to find one.
Absolutely.
And more interaction as we reopen Ohio's economy will likely lead to more spread. Y- You mentioned it earlier, and I'm glad I'm not in your position. You guys need the wisdom of Solomon, it seems like. And you said it isn't a binary choice, but you do have to weigh this thing of getting Ohioans working again with the likely we're going to lose some Buckeyes in the process. It's going to be tough.
It- there's a possibility that could happen. You're absolutely right. But one thing we've learned, and the benefit we have now, is we've learned a little bit more now about what the vulnerable populations
Yeah.
are. The Columbus Dispatch just came out with an article this past week saying around 60% of Ohioans dying from the coronavirus are in long-term care facilities or nursing homes.
Yeah.
And so it would appear to me that the policy going forward should certainly be that we should readily accept social distancing, but at the same time, we should take extra efforts to protect the vulnerable, most vulnerable among us, and make sure that they have what they need. Be good friends, be good neighbors.
Yeah.
Make sure that they have the everything that they need to be able to survive, to be able to protect them the most.
Senator,
That I think should be the focus.
where are you at on group get togethers? Let's do some of this. Should spectators be allowed this fall to attend the Napoleon Wildcats football games or Buckeye games in Columbus? Will there be a Henry County fair?
I think it is too early to tell. One thing we know coming out of this is that there's a lot of research suggesting that, like many other viruses, during the warm and humid weather months, it reacts differently.
Yeah.
And so this could look entirely different in August or July or even September than it does right now. So I think it's just too early to make that type of decision.
Why are masks a political issue? This is a public health situation. Crisis may seem, but no, I think thousands dead, we can call crisis. Why are masks a political issue? Do you wear one?
I pointed this out actually in testimony for my bill that would try to curb the or put checks and balances back on the director's powers. That I do wear a mask out of courtesy to the people around me.
Thank you.
I'm not showing any symptoms, and I've taken efforts to embrace the social distancing, but I do wear a mask. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for deciding that they do not want to wear a mask. I think it's something that goes into their personal freedoms and their personal choices. And while we can encourage, and you and I can both encourage them to do it,
Yeah.
it's not me to tell them or mandate them to do it.
Um, the state's finances are a mess. Well, whose isn't? State government, federal government, cities, counties, townships. The governor had to swing the budget axe. No question about that. You know, the state budget biennium, you get the June 30th deadline fast approaching. Schools got hit hard, but I do some work in the Bowling Green schools, and my sources tell me that the worst is yet to come. You ain't seen nothing yet. They didn't say it that way. They speak really good English at the schools. Um, where are schools now supposed to cut?
Well, if you look at the cuts that happened, there are certainly some big numbers, and it's stuff we did not want to do, but it speaks to the broader societal impact of what we're doing right now. The state's tax revenues in the month of April, income tax down 50%,
Yeah.
sales tax down 25%. That's about $800+ million that are not coming into the state's revenues to support these things. But so cuts will have to be made. Education is one of the biggest chunks of our state budget. And so you can't cut 20% that the governor's talked about without at least touching that. It's unfortunate, but it's something that we're going to have to do because we have a constitutional amendment that we must balance our state budget. There's no other option.
I wanted to get into, and I'm running out of time, the president's all of Twitter, yes, all puns intended there, about the use of mail-in voting as a protective step during these COVID-19 pandemics. It says it just invites voter fraud. Yet we just had an Ohio primary that was a largely mail-in ballot situation with no real problems. Where do you stand on that? Are you comfortable with mail-in voting?
I think exclusively mail-in voting is absolutely ridiculous. And the reason I say that is, especially in Ohio, we have 28-day absentee, no-fault voting where you can go in, you can vote early if you'd like, you
Right.
can request a ballot and mail it in if you'd like. But one thing we did see from this past election is turnout was drastically affected by mail-in voting. if we get rid of in-person voting, we're affecting turnout. In some ways, we are disenfranchising people who want to vote, especially people who want to vote on election day. We need to maintain election day voting as best as we can. And I would say we should not do anything to close the polls this November.
All right, gonna leave it right there. He is Ohio Senator Rob McColley, Republican District 1. Thank you so much for keeping us on the leading edge as we reopen our state and work our way through this pandemic. And folks, when I come back, COVID-19 and the arts, the Executive Director of the Arts Commission joining me next, right here on Leading Edge.